Okay, so it's time for us to go ahead and get back into our coverage over X-Force. Now, I kind of realized something, and technically, I realized this a while ago when it comes to our coverage over like different comic book series, where when it comes to certain writers, when they get into a major story arc, right, and they finish that story arc, they're not really ready to dive into the next major story arc. And so, what do? You kind of give us some filler storylines to kind of give yourself a break, but also to buy you some time until you are officially ready to dive into that next story arc. And so we're kind of in that point right now when it comes to X Force. And let me explain, because we're now going to sit down and cover some storylines where they may not seem that important, but at the same time, though, they still kind of give us some fun adventures with our young heroes known as X Force. And so, as we get into the opening pages for X Force issue number 81, we really do pick up with, well, our heroes in Hawaii. Now, this is why I say, like, it's a filler story arc, but it's also still kind of picking up where our last video had left off at. Because in our last video, you had our heroes officially learn about the origin of Rainfire. And technically, you guys should go ahead and check out that video. But when it comes to our heroes, once they had defeated Rainfire and you had Sunspot now being able to access his trust fund, he kind of felt like for X-Force, it was time for them to have a vacation, because for a good while now in our coverage over X-Force, they have been traveling across the country and kind of looking for a new purpose in life without the idea of Cable being around. And so with them going through some crazy story arcs, it's now time for them to have a vacation. And so they went over to Hawaii. And this kind of leads into a quick reminder about what we saw in our last video, and that some of you guys were really upset about the idea of Cannonball having his girlfriend stolen away from him by his best friend, Sunspot. Yeah, you heard that right. Sunspot stole his best friend's girlfriend, Meltdown, in our last video, really 2 videos ago. And they're just like, officially going on with the idea of being a couple with one another. And so you see the two right now just out there together surfing. And the thing is, once you do have the two characters fall off their surfboard, well, for Boom Boom, she begin to see these creatures just walking at the bottom of the ocean, heading towards, well, Hawaii. And she's kind of wondering, like, whoa, what in the world is going on here? And so, of course, for Boom Boom, she wants to inform the rest of the team. And so when she does tell the rest of the team what she saw at the bottom of the ocean, when they do head over there, they don't see anything. They're kind of like, yo, what in the world did you see? And honestly, she tries her best to explain what she saw, but again, there's no actual proof of what she saw being there. Now, we also kind of get told here that for this island in Hawaii, it still has a lot of seismic activity. And matter of fact, that'll become very important for the rest of this storyline. But while you do have our heroes wandering around the island, for Warpath, he believes that he saw somebody very familiar. And that would be Risque. Now, Risque is a character that we have met a while ago when it came to our coverage over X-Force. And let me explain. You see, for Risque, she first appeared as this random female character that kind of began the process of making Warpath fall in love with her. Now, we did learn later on that she had an actual reason why to make him fall in love with her. Matter of fact, I'll explain why here in a moment, because it does involve 2 other characters. But for Warpath, now knowing that she did not truly care for him the way he thought she did, he's right now trying to keep his distance. But it does seem like right now it's her trying to reconnect with him. But for him, he wants to keep that distance. He's like, you know what? Listen, don't ever call me unless you're in danger. Now, right after he said that line, she does get in danger, where of course she's now being attacked by some creatures, and so for Warpath, he has to protect her. But now, this is the perfect time to explain an earlier storyline that we had covered involving, well, Warpath and also two other characters known as Sledge and also Vanisher. Let me explain, because earlier I said when it came to Risque, she made Warpath fall in love with her for a different reason. That reason because she worked for Sledge. And for Sledge, he needed somebody to help him out to save his friend Vanisher, who was stuck in limbo. Now, for Warpath, he was the guy that Sledge chose, and Warpath did it for him. In return, Sledge had information about what happened to Warpath tribe that kind of led into the storyline. Yeah, Warpath finally figure out what exactly happened to his tribe by the hands of Strife. But either way, though, when it comes to Risque, Vanisher, and also Sledge, they came to Hawaii to steal an artifact, the Heart of Pele, the Hawaiian goddess. And the thing is, her artifact is very connected to the volcano and also the seismic activity that's happening on the island. And so once you do have our heroes go back into the volcano, they do find Sledge. Now we also learn here that Vanisher had disappeared with the artifact. They need that artifact for two different reasons. And the first reason why is because they're being surrounded by, well, the Lava Men. Now, the Lava Men have been around for a very long time in Marvel Comics. Matter of fact, they first appeared back in Journey into the Mystery issue number 97, and I want to say it was 1963. With that being said, they are actually from the subterranean part of the Earth. And I think, if I remember correctly, they are the first race from that area. Now, I'm not going to sit down and try to explain the full origin of these creatures, but just know they want the Heart of Pele. And here's the reason why: because over time, their actual race has been broken up into many different tribes. This group right here wants to bring all tribes together, and they believe that they could achieve that goal with the Heart of Pele. And so you do have our heroes agree to get the heart back. The thing is that they can get the heart back from Vanisher, who had disappeared right after getting the heart with Risque and also Sledge. And so you do have Sunspot and also Siren being able to find Vanisher and quickly get the Heart of Pele from him and then head back over to the volcano with the rest of X-Force, but also the Lava Men. Now, this is going to lead into the second reason why they had to get the artifact back. And well, let me explain why. Because, well, we kind of find out the reason why there has been seismic activity happening on the island because the Heart of Pele has been removed. That is the second reason why they had to get the artifact back, to put the artifact into the volcano to stop the seismic activity happening on the island. We also learn here that Risque was never here. Let me explain. You see, when it comes to Hawaiian culture, it is always said Pele, their goddess, will return in different forms. Sometimes an old woman, sometimes as a young, beautiful woman. And so when it came to Pele, she took the form of Risque. The real Risque is on Hawaii, just on the beach right now, asleep, not knowing that for her two team members, Vanisher and also Sledge, that they're working with, well, Pele, who took her form. And the same thing goes for X-Force as well. The entire time they were communicating with Risque that in reality, they were talking to the goddess who knew the heart must be returned back into the volcano, which it was done by our heroes. Now, as we dive into X-Force issue number 82, I want to say that this is really less of a filler story arc and really more of like a smaller one-shot story arc where it's going to build into the bigger storylines down the road. And the reason why I'm saying that because, well, really the opening pages tell you like, hey, this could be a major plot line down the road because we see Domino right now has been officially captured. Now remember, when it comes to Domino, she had left X-Force right after Operation Zero Tolerance. Really, her and Cable both had left X-Force. And so for Domino, she kind of been on her own, but also the fact like she has been taking in contracts from Hell House. Now guys, remember, Hell House is really important because it's where like the top mercenaries go to get their contracts. Like for example, over in Deadpool comics, we see Deadpool go over to Hell House as a way to get different assignments. But right now for Domino, we're seeing that she's currently captured. And so, of course, you already know that this is going to lead into the idea of X Force going out of their way to save Domino. So, when we do switch over to X Force, it's them right now just coming home after a good night out at the movies, having a good old time. The problem is that when they do get back to the new base that Sunspot has gotten for them, when they walk inside, they see a random guy there, just chilling there. And of course, for our heroes, they believe at first that this guy was trying to rob him, or rob them, sorry. But he says, no, I'm not here to rob you. I'm actually here to ask for your help. And we do learn that his name is Jesse Aronson. Now, we do also learn here that for Jesse, he's kind of like a big fan of X Force. It's kind of like he knows everything about them, every single detail about every single member. But we also learn here that for Jesse, he was with Domino when she got captured. So the question is right now, how in the world did she get captured? And how in the world is Jesse involved with this whole entire situation? And so this kind of leads into a flashback, but also a quick reminder about what's going on with the character of Domino around this time in Marvel Comics. So when it came to Domino, man, okay, this links back to Operation Zero Tolerance. You see, for Domino, she met Jesse at a club. Jesse knew that Domino was looking for a certain character, and that would be Ekaterina Grazanova, and I know I most likely had butchered that name. Now, when it comes to Grazanova, she was a commander in Operation Zero Tolerance. She worked right next to Bastion. But on top of that, when it came to her being a commander, she captured X-Force and captured Domino, especially because she wanted to get revenge against Domino. Now, when it came to Grazanova, we had learned that she had planted this device on Domino's nervous system as a way to affect her luck ability, but also her fighting skills as well. And so for Domino, she wasn't as fast as she used to be back in the past. Now for Domino, she did try her best to adjust to the idea where her fighting skills are at, but she has been struggling. And so for Jesse, he has information where to find Grazanova to allow Domino to get revenge. But on top of that, their deal is that once he does help her, she has to help him and find his missing brother. And so with Jesse information, it led them over to the Aguilar Institute. Now, when they had arrived at the Aguilar Institute, it didn't take that long for Domino and also for Jesse to meet some security guards who got some very powerful power armor to use against our two characters. And of course, that leads into Domino getting captured, but also Jesse being able to get away, but then, of course, try his best to find X-Force, which he was able to do. And so for our heroes, they're kind of upset with the fact that technically Jesse had left Domino behind. Now, for me personally, I'm kind of like, the dude didn't have a choice there. He literally had to leave her behind so that he would then be able to get you guys to hopefully then help her out. Because if Homeboy did not leave her behind, then most likely y'all would have never known that Domino was in danger. But either way, you do have X-Force agree to follow Jesse to where the Aguilar Institute is at to hopefully save Domino's life. And so for Domino, when she finds out that Grazanova is alive, she's very surprised to see how Grazanova looks at the moment. Because the last time she saw Grazanova, well, she was still with Operation Zero Tolerance as a Prime Sentinel and looked somewhat normal. But now it seems like her body and face has been completely scarred and changed. And the reason why, because we learned here that for Grazanova, she was a double agent while working for the Aguilar Institute. She was planted by them to kind of keep an eye out on Bastion and also Operation Zero Tolerance. When Bastion found out, he told the nanites to change her body, not a tad bit, a whole lot. And so that's why she's the way she is right now. Now, she also has a new code name, and that would be Griffin. Now, here's the thing, because this issue right here is the last time we are ever going to see her character. And so really, the rest of this issue is really more of us now just seeing like X-Force arrive to the base, and you didn't have the X-Force team fight against security guards, while you didn't have Jesse run into the building to hopefully save Domino's life. Because again, he did say like, hey, Domino, if I help you, you got to help me to find my missing brother. And so we do see him being able to get inside. Now, Once he does, you didn't have Jesse kind of realize what's going on with Domino. The whole idea of the device being planted right now on her nervous system. And so you have Jesse being able to use his powers to shut down the device to allow Domino to go back to her old ways again. So her luck powers are no longer being affected. Her fighting skills are no longer being affected. So now she's able to fight against Grey's Nova. Now the battle does end with Grey's Nova going out of her way to hit a self-destruct button. So for X-Force, Domino, and also Jesse, they have to get the heck out of there as the entire place blows up. And there goes Grey's Nova. We'll never see her again. But for Domino, she still wants to investigate the Aguilar Institute. And so this kind of leads into the ending of the storyline, right? Where basically you do have X-Force go back to the base. You have Domino inform X-Force that her and Cable are like no longer talking to one another. And apparently it happened in a different Cable storyline that we have not covered yet. So when we do cover that storyline, it will take place before this storyline right here. But the book does end on the note where you really do have, the X-Force team gaining a new member, and that would be Jesse. And it also seems like Domino is also going to rejoin X-Force as well. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.